Heartwarming moment. Black girl's cry for help reveals incredible bond with her billionaire dad. Maya sat alone on her bed, tears rolling down her cheeks like a river of unshed pain. The glittering skyline of Atlanta was a stark contrast to her heavy heart. Every day at school, she felt like a ghost, desperately searching for a place to belong but constantly reminded that she was the only black girl in a sea of privilege and privilege-fueled judgments. Her father, James Carter, was a self-made billionaire, his wealth an ever-present shield that became an ever-sharper sword, turning her classmates into bullies, eager to mock her for it. They smirk, claiming that her father's money couldn't buy her friendship, just loneliness. Everything came to a head one fateful afternoon in the lunchroom. Maya had overheard the whispers, felt the stares, and finally, she broke when a classmate flung a bunch of grapes at her, shouting, "Rich girl can't even laugh!" Her face burned with humiliation. She fled to the safety of her bedroom, the laughter of kids fading into a haunting echo. With her laptop open, she began to type, pouring out her heart in a single, raw plea to her father. "I need you, Dad. I feel so alone. I wish you could see how hard it is for me." Before she could second-guess herself, she hit post. Within moments, her message transformed into a viral sensation, capturing hearts from every corner. Supportive voices flooded in, comments of shared pain, stories of resilience, and powerful messages of solidarity exploded on the screen. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But what Maya truly hoped for was that her father would see it. Yet, he remained consumed by back-to-back meetings, surrounded by the glitz of corporate galas, utterly unaware of what was crumbling at home. It wasn't until a casual scroll through social media pulled him into a storm of emotions. He stumbled upon Maya's video, and it knocked the wind from him. "Forgive me," he thought frantically. "How did I let this happen?" Guilt washed over him like a heavy tide, drowning him in the weight of his neglect. The following day at school, anxiety twisted in Maya's stomach as she stood in the yard, surrounded by classmates, some whispering, some offering quiet encouragement. Suddenly, like a scene out of a movie, James burst onto the scene, his eyes scanning until they locked with hers. The air crackled with tension as they confronted each other, surrounded by a community on edge, waiting for the story to unfold. Their conversation escalated into a whirlwind of honesty. Maya opened up about her nightmares of isolation and bullying, while James admitted the fear he felt at the thought of failing as a father. This was more than a confrontation. It was a collision of worlds. Their vulnerability sent shock waves through the crowd, making them question their own barriers, their own assumptions. As the moments ticked away, Maya sensed a shift, a glimmer of hope amidst the uncertainty. Could they bridge this gap of misunderstanding? Could love overcome the walls that wealth and ambition built? Standing there, with their hearts bared, the question lingered, would this spark a new beginning or seal their fate as strangers forever? Maya's heart raced as she and her dad stood in that tense, buzzing yard. For the first time in ages, she felt momentum beneath her feet, as if the very ground were urging her forward. The murmur of their classmates faded, and it was just the two of them, raw and real. "Dad, I just want to be seen," she pleaded, her voice quivering. "I don't care about the money. It doesn't mean anything when I'm all alone." James swallowed hard. He could feel the shockwave of her words tearing through him. How had he been so blind? He rubbed the back of his neck nervously, a habit he developed during stressful meetings. "I had no idea you felt this way," he admitted, his voice low and heavy. I thought I was giving you everything, but what you really needed was me." Their gaze locked again, and in that moment, Maya felt something shift. The weight of expectations, the laughter of classmates, everything that had felt so isolating began to fade, replaced by something softer. Hope. "I don't want gifts," she continued, her tone firming up. "I want you to be with me. To really be with me. I need a dad who listens, not just a name on a check." The crowd around them shifted, sensing the gravity of the moment. Some stared wide-eyed, while others whispered to one another, echoes of their comfort and discomfort mingling in the air. James's lips flattened into a thin line as he glanced at the group, the weight of judgment pressing down on him. "I'm so sorry, Maya," he whispered, his emotions spilling over. "You've every right to feel this way. I've been so caught up in deals and deadlines that I forgot what matters most." His eyes glistened with tears he hadn't allowed himself to shed. "I promise to do better. I want to understand your world." The sincerity in his voice wrapped around Maya like a warm blanket. "Can we just start over? Can we be a team?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as she fought back the tears that welled in her eyes. "Absolutely," James replied, stepping closer. "We can create our own world, one where you feel valued, where you're never alone. I'll be with you every step." Suddenly, a few classmates shuffled forward, hesitant at first. The lean girl from math class broke the silence. Maya, we didn't realize you were going through that. I'm really sorry for how we acted." Maya blinked in surprise. Could this shift signify something new? Others chimed in with their own apologies, the atmosphere lightening as walls began to crumble. As students began to offer support, Maya felt a rush of possibility. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. But in the back of her mind, the seeds of doubt still lingered. Would this last? Would her classmates truly change, or would they revert once the moment passed? James placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "Let us fight this together," he said, determination igniting in his eyes. "You and me against the world." As they stood united in the middle of the yard, hope blossomed in Maya's chest. But in the chaos of so many emotions, one unsolved question echoed. How could they ensure this new bond stood firm against the challenges ahead? As the crowd began to disperse, Maya held her breath, remembering the weight of their words. She had taken a leap, but would she be ready for the fall if this moment didn't last? Maya took a deep breath, trying to process the whirlwind of emotions cascading through her. Her classmates trailed off, murmuring soft apologies that echoed in her chest, the initial sting of their behavior from before now softened by their newfound understanding. "Look," Maya said, raising her voice slightly to catch the attention of her peers. "I appreciate you all saying sorry. It means a lot. But let us make sure this isn't just a one-time thing. Can we really stick together? Can we help each other?" A few students exchanged knowing glances, hesitant but curious. One of the boys, Kevin, stepped forward. "We just didn't see how hard things were for you, Maya. I think we can do better. We can be a better class together." The chatter grew, and Maya felt warmth spreading through her heart. Her classmates were beginning to see her for who she was, not the stereotypes they had fashioned in their minds. She turned to her dad, eyes shining. "Do you hear that? They want to try." James nodded, a smile creeping onto his face. "They see you now, Maya. They see your courage in standing up and speaking out." As they walked hand in hand across the yard, Maya couldn't shake the feeling of nervous energy fluttering in her stomach. Could this really last? Could she rely on the kindness of the students who had once overlooked her? She glanced behind her, catching snippets of conversation among her classmates, threads of connection weaving into something tangible. Then, just as quickly as hope had blossomed, her gaze fell on Judith, the girl who had tormented her most. Judith stood in the distance, arms crossed, watching the small group evolve. A defensive posture, the index finger tapping against her elbow showed her unease. Did she want to join, or was she still holding on to the past? Maya's heart sank, but then reignited when she turned back to her dad. Can we invite everyone who wants to join? Even Judith? I don't want to exclude anyone even if it's hard. Jane's brow furrowed at the mention of Judith. Are you sure? Remember what she did? Yes, but this is about growth for all of us. Besides, maybe she needs a chance to change too. Okay, Maya, he conceded, admiration swirling in his voice. Let us do it together. So, they approached the crowd once more, and Maya took a deep breath. The words spilled out of her, filled with determination. Hey, everyone! I know I've been alone in the past, but I want us all to come together. I think we can build a team, help each other. If anyone wants to join in, even those who've hurt me, you can. We need to support each other. There was a pause. Silence wrapped around her before a few students began nodding, and then almost hesitantly others chimed in with murmurs of agreement. Even Judith seemed to inch closer, the walls of her defenses wavering with uncertainty. Maya's heart raced. Around her, she felt an electric charge. Maybe this day could mark a beginning, a turning point for her and her classmates alike. But she couldn't help but wonder about Judith. Would she embrace this new opportunity? Could she really change? Or would the shadows of high school politics swallow her whole again? As the sun began to dip low, painting the sky a soft orange, Maya took the first step forward, her heartbeat drumming a rhythm of hope. Yet in the depth of her mind, a still unanswered question lingered. Could she be brave enough not just to risk her own heart but to reach out for someone who had broken it before? Maya felt the weight of all the eyes on her, an electrifying mix of anxiety and anticipation. She could see Judith shifting nervously, her defiance fading slightly, as she approached the gathering. That flicker of vulnerability sent ripples of hope through Maya. With each step Judith took, Maya's heart beat louder. Hi, Judith said, her voice shaky. The crowd quieted down, unfolding like a delicate flower eager for the sun. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And if you're really serious about this team thing, I'd like to join. I think a murmur swept through the crowd. Maya's classmates exchanged hesitant glances. Some appeared wary, while others looked intrigued by Judith's intent. It felt like a moment of truth, one that could shape the future for all of them. Maya took a deep breath, her own courage strengthening at the sight of Judith's trembling hands. We all have our scars, she replied, her voice steady. If you're ready to be here, then we welcome you. Together we can all grow. A few whispered yes followed, building into a swelling chorus of agreement. Judith cracked a small but genuine smile, hope flickering in her eyes. Perhaps she'd found her own chance at redemption. Gradually, students began to step forward, adding themselves to this makeshift team. Conversation sparked around them, laughter floated through the air, and before Maya knew it, they had created a small circle of encouragement. She felt the infusion of connection, each person's energy intertwining like vibrant threads in a tapestry. Maya stood taller, her father's proud gaze wrapping around her like a warm hug. The world felt lighter, brighter, and the possibilities unfurled like the dawn. But deep within, a whisper of uncertainty crept back in. She turned briefly to Judith, who was now animatedly discussing ideas with Kevin. This was good, but what if it wasn't enough? Just then, a sudden shout caught everyone's attention. Wait a minute. It was Claire, a quiet girl from the back of the group, her face flushed. What about those of us who still feel like outsiders? This whole thing sounds great, but not everyone feels safe enough to step forward. How do we make sure everyone knows they can belong? The atmosphere shifted instantly. Joy pulled together, but Claire's question tossed a stone into the still water. Maya's heart sank briefly. Was this connection so fragile that it could crack? She had wished for unity, but what if it meant leaving others behind? James squeezed his daughter's hand gently, a reminder of the strength she held. Let us keep this discussion open. Anyone who feels that way, we want to hear you. This isn't just about facing the past, but building a brighter, more inclusive future together. A soft murmur of agreement rippled through the group again, but Maya felt an urgency to dive deeper. The golden light of dusk surrounded them, but shadows still lurked. Okay, everyone, I want to hear your thoughts, Maya called out, her voice infused with a blend of excitement and resolve. Let us share what we need to feel like we truly belong no matter what we've experienced before. As hands began to rise and voices started to share both fears and dreams, Maya's heart quickened again. Every person spoke louder, stronger than before. She dared to believe in something bigger than herself, the chance for actual change. But as Judith's voice lifted in a passionate response, Maya's heart tightened with a new realization. She felt the weight of what was coming. Was she ready to lead this charge towards redemption and understanding for everyone? The sun dipped lower, casting elongated shadows across the field. Maya watched Judith, her pulse racing. Could she balance her past with her future? Tomorrow would be the real test, and as hope mingled with apprehension, she knew the real fight had just begun. Would they all be brave enough to forgive, to really break those barriers? And if they did, what would it mean for the relationships they all need to nurture going forward? Maya's heart raced as the circle of students continued to deepen, their voices rising in a symphony of shared experiences. Each story echoed a raw truth, an unfiltered glimpse into their lives. She listened intently, absorbing the pain, the laughter, the dreams. The vulnerability in the air was palpable, almost electric. Claire spoke again, her voice a hesitant whisper, yet it carried the weight of courage. I feel invisible sometimes, she admitted. I want to be part of this, but I don't know how to fit in. Maya could see a few heads nodding in understanding, and her chest tightened with empathy. Claire was voicing what many felt, including herself. The fear of being overlooked, of being unimportant, it was a feeling too many had experienced. Claire, Maya said softly, you're not invisible to us. You matter, and so does your voice. Let us make sure everyone feels they can share, that no one is left out. The murmurs of agreement filled the air again, more robust this time, inspiring her to dig deeper. Could they build something together that would truly invite everyone in? Judith looked at Maya, eyes gleaming with unspoken admiration. We have to create a safe space, she added, wrapping her arms around herself protectively. A place where people can talk, be heard. I know what it's like to feel alone. The group grew silent for a moment, a wave of solidarity washing over them, hearts beating in sync. Judith's honesty resonated, helping others to shed their trepidations. This was no longer just about her or Maya. It was about every student who had felt like they had to hide their true selves. With growing confidence, Kevin piped up. Why not have regular meetings? A space where we can come together, share our wins and our struggles. We could call it the Circle. Excitement coursed through the group, laughter bubbling up in bright bursts. There was a tangible connection forming, threads of hope weaving their way into what Maya hoped would be a resilient bond. Absolutely, Maya agreed, her heart swelled. But we also need to think about how we can reach out to those who are still hesitant. What if we invite everyone, not just those who are close to us? That idea sparked even more discussion. One by one, they began pitching ideas, community events, open forums, even forming buddy systems to ensure no one felt left behind. Voices grew loud with enthusiasm, each student feeding off the energy of the others. As the sun finally set, casting a golden hue on the field, Maya felt a weight lifting. This was no longer merely a dream, but a promise, a chance to create a future where everyone belonged. But just as hope felt within their grasp, Claire raised her hand again, a shadow slipping back into her eyes. But what if we try and fail? What if no one comes? What if? The room fell quiet. The fear was real, evident in everyone's eyes. Doubts began to creep in, testing their newfound resolve. Maya felt a crack in their unity, the weight of possibility making it hard to breathe. Everyone has fears, James reminded. It's a part of change. We can't let fear control us. We have to face it together. Let us support each other to keep going. No matter what. Maya took a deep breath, absorbing the mixture of determination and uncertainty swirling around her. She could feel the fragile thread of connection they had woven start to tremor. If we care enough, no failure can break us, she declared, her voice rising again to meet the fading light. But inside, doubt gnawed at her, whispering of the challenges they would face. There was still so much ground to cover, so many barriers to break. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Maya wondered if they truly knew what they were signing up for. Could they sustain this movement? And when darkness threatened to slip in, would they have the strength to hold on to the light they had just begun to create? Tomorrow, they would take their first step into the unknown, and it felt like both a leap of faith and a dance with uncertainty. What awaited them beyond the night? Maya woke with a start, sunlight spilling through her window like a river of gold. Today was the day. The first meeting of the circle, and with it, a chance to forge real connections. Excitement bubbled in her stomach, but so did a pang of anxiety. Would everyone still feel united after last night? She dressed quickly, her mind racing with possibilities. Would Claire show up? Would anyone feel brave enough to step into the light? The thought of those shadows creeping back into the circle made her heart tighten again. But today, this was bigger than fear. At school, the air buzzed with the usual noise of lockers slamming and laughter ringing out. Still, as she entered the familiar room, she was hit with a wave of uncertainty. Her peers were scattered about, chatting, but something felt different. Their eyes were gleaming with an intensity she hadn't realized they possessed before. It was as if they were all waiting for something to ignite. As the bell rang, Maya positioned herself at the front, taking a deep breath. Hey, everyone! Thank you for coming. This is our first meeting of the circle. It's a place where we can all speak freely and share our lives. She searched for Claire's face, but didn't see her yet. Judith broke the silence, gazing out at their classmates. We're all here because we want to feel connected. I think we should start by sharing what we hope to gain from this group. One by one, they began to speak, sharing their dreams and goals, each revelation binding them together even tighter. Maya marveled at the warmth filling the room as laughter erupted over shared hopes of belonging. The fear that had gripped them the night before seemed to dissipate, replaced by a profound sense of togetherness. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Claire stood there, her face hesitant but filled with determination. A collective hush fell over the room. Maya's heart lifted. "Claire, come join us," she called, gesturing for her to step inside. Claire lingered for a second before stepping into the circle. A brave smile tugged at her lips. I wasn't sure I should come," she admitted. The room leaned in, a chorus of encouragement urging her on. "I thought maybe I'd just try to listen today," she continued, her voice soft yet carrying strength. "But I realized that I want to be part of this like everyone else. I don't want to feel invisible anymore." As tears welled in her eyes, Maya felt her own throat tighten. A few classmates nodded knowingly. This was that moment where vulnerability reshaped the very fabric of the circle. The solidarity was overwhelming. "Claire, you just showed us all how brave you are," Maya said gently. "We're all here because we believe in each other. We can't let anyone feel like they don't count." The group erupted in an energized discussion, everyone chiming in support of Claire, sharing their own fears and feelings of insignificance. It was cathartic. The release of bottled-up emotions was palpable, and it felt like they were carving out a space for vulnerability. Just as the connection deepened, a loud knock echoed from the door. Everyone turned in unison, a curious murmur rippling through the group. The door swung open to reveal a stern-faced vice principal. "You all need to quiet down. This isn't circus," he said, his voice tinged with impatience. The warm atmosphere shattered in an instant. Faces shifted from empowerment to alarm. The energy suddenly extinguished. Maya glanced at Claire, whose enthusiasm dimmed, the doubts creeping back. "Hey, we're trying to create something special here," she found herself saying, her voice shaking but resolute. He raised an eyebrow, clearly uninterested. "Just keep it down." With that, he left, leaving the room in a heavy silence once more. Maya's heart pounded. Was this the first obstacle they would face? Just when it seemed they were moving towards something wonderful, it felt threatened. Would they be able to rally again? Could the bond they just built survive this crack in their plans? As whispers began to weave through the group, Maya realized one thing: it would take more than just hope to keep the circle alive. They would have to fight for it. What actions would they take in the face of confrontation next? Maya stood at the front of the room, her mind racing. The vice principal's abrupt intrusion had cast a shadow over the bright connection they were cultivating. Laughter faded, leaving only the nervous shuffling of feet and hesitant glances. It felt like a fragile bubble had burst, and she could almost hear the collective intake of breath from her classmates. "Okay, listen," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let us not let this ruin what we've just started." She looked around, catching Sam's eye. He nodded, and she felt a swell of determination. They wouldn't let fear snuff out their spark. "Why don't we continue?" "We were just beginning to share our stories," Sam suggested, and a few heads nodded in agreement. Maya felt a flicker of hope kindling. "Yeah," Judith chimed in. "We're here for each other, after all." A spark ignited among them, slowly shifting the mood back to its previous warmth. Claire looked at Maya, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "Okay," Claire said, clearing her throat, "I'll go again. What I meant to share is, I really feel like I've stood on the sidelines for too long. It's time for me to step into my light." Her voice gained strength with each word, resonating like a bell. Other voices joined in, and soon the room buzzed again. People spoke about fears they carried, the weight of isolation, and the longing for real connection. It was raw and unfiltered. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. This was what they had hoped for. But then, the door creaked open once more. The vice principal's stern face reappeared, slicing through the atmosphere again. "I'm serious. I'll have to report this if you don't quiet down." His tone was more a command than a request. Anger flared in Maya. "But we're trying to make a difference. We're respecting and uplifting each other," she protested, her voice rising. "Doesn't that count for something?" The room went silent. She felt the eyes of her classmates on her. The vice principal crossed his arms, unmoved. He scrutinized her, as if trying to gauge the passion simmering within her. "Just lower your volume. It's against school policy to disturb others." He exited brusquely, leaving a trail of tension behind him. Maya took a deep breath, trying to ground herself. Around her, she could see the worry creep back into the faces of her friends. "Okay, let us turn this around," she said, her voice steady. "We can handle this. We won't let anyone silence us." Judith replied, "What if we set some ground rules? Like respecting each other as stories, and amplifying our voices." Everyone seemed energized by that idea. They spent the next few moments brainstorming rules and affirmations, a way to keep their space sacred. Laughter began to form again among them, igniting optimism. As they wrapped up for the day, they stood together in a tight circle. Maya could feel the warmth of their bodies close, a tangible sense of unity. No matter what happens, we are stronger together, she said, squeezing Clara's hand. That evening Maya lay in bed, thoughts swirling. They had faced their first hurdle, but the vice principal's comments echoed in her mind. Was this just the beginning of more challenges to come? She knew they needed to strategize if they wanted to keep the circle alive and thriving. But then, another thought crept in. What if they could turn every challenge into an opportunity to deepen their bond? Tomorrow would be critical. They needed a plan, a way to show the administration their true purpose, their passion. Maya's heart raced as she considered the possibilities. How could they emerge stronger, fighting for what mattered to them? With that thought hanging in the air, she fell into a restless sleep, her mind churning with ideas. Little did she know, a surprising ally was just around the corner, ready to step into their midst and change everything. The next day, the sun streamed through the classroom windows, casting warm beams across the room. Maya could feel the anticipation buzzing in the air. The circle had gained momentum, and she was determined to harness it. She arrived early, her heart racing with ideas. Today was about unity, about demonstrating the power of their voice and the intent behind their gathering. Sam arrived a few minutes later, wearing a determined expression that mirrored her own. "Have you thought about how we present our ideas to the administration?" he asked, his brow furrowed. "Yeah," Maya replied, biting her lip. "We need to show them that we're serious. This is more than just a chat. We're building something meaningful." As the rest of their friends trickled in, Maya felt a surge of hope. Judith, Claire, and a few others greeted her with smiles, each bearing a hint of excitement. They shared quick conversations and laughter, the energy in the room palpable. "All right, let us gather around and go over our strategy," Maya called. They gathered in their usual tight circle, and she felt grounded surrounded by these friends, who had become like family. "We want to present our purpose clearly," she said, her voice steady. "Not only do we want to uplift each other, but we also want to influence positive change in our school culture. Maybe we could create a presentation?" Claire suggested, her eyes lighting up. "Something visual to focus on what we need and why we matter." "Definitely," Judith agreed. "If we have something tangible to show them, it might make it harder for them to ignore us." Together, they brainstormed ideas, sketching out a rough format. They would showcase their visions, including personal stories demonstrating how the circle made a difference in their lives. Maya felt excitement swell in her chest. As they worked, the door swung open. It was the vice principal again, his eyes scanning the room. "What is going on here?" he asked, arms crossed defensively. Maya's heart raced, but she took a steady breath. "We're preparing to share our goals for the circle," she said, meeting his gaze. "We want to show you how important this is to us." His expression changed slightly. Was that a flicker of curiosity? "You think this will change my mind about your loud gatherings?" he replied, skepticism lacing his words. Maya didn't back down. "It's not just noise. It's us expressing ourselves, finding our paths together. We believe this can lead to a much-needed change. Please give us a chance to show you." The vice principal hesitated, and for a brief moment, she thought he might relent. Instead, he uncrossed his arms and chuckled lightly. "Fine. But I expect politeness and decorum in this presentation." With a reluctant nod, he left, and Maya's heart leapt. This was it. They had a window of opportunity, a chance to take a stand and express their value and vision. As the bell rang, signaling the passing of the period, her friends rallied around her. "Maya, that was amazing," Sam exclaimed, clapping her on the back. Maya felt her spirits soar. Today could be the first step toward something big. "Let us put together something that truly reflects who we are," she said, energized. But beneath the surface of their excitement, a flutter of doubt crept into Maya's mind. What if their efforts fell flat? What if the administration didn't understand their intent? Those questions loomed, twisting her stomach. They had come so far, yet there remained an undercurrent of tension. What awaited them as they prepared for this crucial presentation? Would they emerge victorious or face new roadblocks? As Maya took a deep breath and looked around at her friends, it was clear they were ready for whatever lay ahead, if only they had the courage to confront it together. The days leading up to the presentation felt like a whirlwind, each moment spinning with anticipation. Maya pored over notes, rehearsed her speech, and collaborated with her friends to pull together a presentation that felt authentic. She could feel the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders, but the thought of her friends beside her lifted her spirits. They were in this together. As they gathered after school in the library, the air buzzed with nervous energy. Posters and slides filled the makeshift presentation board, showcasing their visions of community, support, and change. Yet, beneath the excitement, doubt lingered like a fog. What if they didn't connect? What if their heartfelt offerings fell on deaf ears? Is everyone ready? Maya asked, trying to mask her uncertainty. Claire adjusted her glasses and nodded. We've got this. It's us speaking from the heart. Judith's soothing voice chimed in. And we'll be there for each other, no matter what happens. Maya took a deep breath, her friends' trust sparking something fierce in her. They shared their worries and hopes, weaving them together until they felt like a single, resolute unit. Hours passed, and as the sun began to set outside the library windows, they felt tinges of fatigue, but also a simmering adrenaline coursing their veins. Who wants to go first? Sam asked, the question hanging in the air. I can do it, Maya offered, an unexpected confidence bubbling within her. I want to establish why this means so much to us. They huddled close, and as she practiced her opening lines, something shifted. Each word she spoke felt lighter, and visions of her friends' smiling faces fueled her fire. This was about more than just a presentation. It was their chance to rally for change, to be heard. The day of the meeting arrived, a crisp morning that drew everyone's attention with the bright promise of a new start. They arrived at the administrative building, the sleek, stark architecture a stark contrast to the warmth of their circle. As they waited in the lobby, Maya noticed their reflections in the glass walls, a powerful mosaic of diverse identities and dreams, each uniquely vibrant yet equally important. Remember, we're not just here to share. We're here to create, Judith whispered, giving Maya a reassuring nod. When their turn came, Maya led the way, heart pounding but determined. They entered the conference room, where the vice principal sat along with the school counselor and another administrator. The tense atmosphere pushed back against their undeniable eagerness. Maya's heart raced as she stood at the front, staring at their carefully crafted visuals. She stepped forward, voice shaking at first. But then she grounded herself in the familiar faces behind her. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, she began. We're more than just students. We're a community striving for change. As she spoke, she could see the expressions of the adults shift, even just slightly. They were listening. The air felt charged, like they were crossing a bridge into something new. Maya shared stories, touched on struggles, and painted vivid pictures with her words. Claire presented their slides, while Sam shared a personal anecdote, one that almost brought tears to Maya's eyes. Each contribution fused into an emotional rhythm, weaving together their dreams and fears, but doubt crept in again as she noticed the vice principal's furrowed brow, casting shadows on their moment. As they wrapped up, Maya felt a flicker of fear. We just want to be part of the change, she said, vulnerability palpable in her voice. She looked directly into their eyes, seeking understanding. We believe together we can create a space where everyone feels safe and valued. When silence fell after their last sentence, the weight of their hopes clung thick in the air. Would the moment of truth be a breakthrough or a breakdown? Thank you for sharing, the vice principal finally said, his posture relaxing. We'll need to discuss this as a team. Maya felt a rush of emotions all at once: relief, fear, hope. What would they decide? The uncertainty echoed in her mind as they exited the room, hanging like a fragile thread above their heads. Whatever happens, I'm proud of us, Judith said quietly, her eyes glimmering with tears of joy and pride. Me too, Maya breathed, her heart leaning into the collective spirit of the circle. As they left the office, she wondered, would their bold step forward pave the way for change, or would it create new challenges they hadn't seen coming? The weight of potential hung in the balance, waiting for their next move. The days that followed felt like an eternity. Maya tossed and turned at night, nerves fluttering in her stomach. The uncertainty of the administration's decision weighed heavily on her mind. But as her friends gathered daily, she could feel the warmth of their unity holding her up. Finally, the day arrived. The anxiety buzzed like electricity in the air as Maya and her friends entered the cafeteria for the announcement. The tables were filled with students, nervous murmurs rippling through the crowd. Her heart raced. This was the moment they'd all been waiting for. The principal stood up at the front, his expression serious but calm. Thank you all for coming today. I want to discuss the circle. Silence wrapped around them, every ear tuned in. Maya felt her breath hitch, but stood tall, her friends' smiles urging her on. I've seen the positive change this group is creating, the principal continued. Your efforts remind us of the power of community, and the strength that comes from supporting one another. Maya exchanged glances with Claire and Judith, heart swelling with hope. We've decided to allow you to continue the meetings, he announced, and like fireworks bursting in a night sky, cheers erupted throughout the cafeteria. Maya felt tears prick her eyes, the thrill of disbelief washing over her. They had done it. But the principal raised his hand for silence. However, I want to emphasize that this only succeeds if you keep the spirit of kindness alive. This is your chance to make a real difference, but it comes with responsibility. Nods and murmurs of agreement spread across the room. Maya felt relief wash through her like cool water, a fresh start, a path forward. She shared a glance with James across the room, who beamed with pride. As the noise subsided, Maya stood, heart pounding with gratitude. She took a deep breath. We promise to keep this space safe. We're committed to making sure everyone feels valued, heard, and included no matter their background. The crowd erupted once more, and beneath the cheers and laughter, Maya felt a steady resolve. This was more than just a victory, it was a new chapter. Their world was changing, and she could finally see the light after the long, dark tunnel. Days turned into weeks, and the circle grew bigger, drawing in students from every corner of the school. The commitment to kindness and connection transformed the atmosphere. Students began collaborating, forming friendships, and weaving stronger bonds. Maya noticed familiar faces: Kevin, Judith, Claire coming together beyond the meetings, building something beautiful. And it was during one of these meetings she felt an all-encompassing warmth. Judith shared her newfound passion for art, encouraging others to express themselves. Claire facilitated discussions that created genuine dialogue around feelings of loneliness and alienation. Each contribution was heartfelt, a testament to the collective healing. Maya looked around her. She felt alive. The giggles, the tears, the shared victories, that was the love building around them, wrapping them tighter. They were truly changing something that once felt impossible. One afternoon, as they gathered outside under the sprawling oak tree, the breeze brushing against their skin, Maya felt something snap open in her heart. She turned to her friends, all gathered around her, faces alive with hope. Can we take this further? The question lingered in the air. Can we invite other schools to share their stories, to learn from each other? The sounds of affirmation washed over her, bright excitement igniting at the thought of being able to expand their movement. And let us plan a community event. Claire chimed in, enthusiasm bubbling over. We could invite speakers, hold workshops. Together, they envisioned it, each voice building momentum like a swell at the beach. That night, Maya lay in bed, her heart fuller than ever. This was about more than just belonging. It was about a future that intertwined every individual into a single, flourishing tapestry. And as she closed her eyes, she thought about all the connections forged, all the layers of understanding created. She was no longer just Maya, the lonely girl. She was Maya, a leader, a beacon of hope for her community. With a determined heart and a growing resolve, she whispered softly into the night, "Tomorrow is ours." Unable to hold back the tears of joy, she silently thanked everyone who had come together to make this dream a reality. But now, the energy pulsed strongly. This was only the beginning. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support by hitting that like button. Don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Leave your comments below and tell us how this story made you feel. Your engagement means the world to us.